Welcome everyone to another humble and hungry conversation powered by Camelback Ventures. We love this opportunity to highlight the incredible entrepreneurs who were part of Camelback's Fellowship, which is a national accelerator supporting BIPOC women and non-binary founders with capital, coaching, and connections. It is a true pleasure to introduce 2020 fellows and the co-founders of New Orleans-based Bypass Lines, Sharon Flowers Maple and Spencer Davis. Welcome both.
Thank you so much. So glad to be here.
I would love for you each to introduce yourselves and share more about Bypass Lines. Maybe Sharon, you can do that. And then also just share with our audience today why you all decided to become entrepreneurs.
Awesome. So hi, everyone. I'm Sharon Flowers Maple. I'm CEO and co-founder of Bypass Lines. And you may be asking, what is Bypass Lines? The way we like to explain it is many folks know about Amazon Smiles, which have ended. But if you know about Amazon Smile, you know that you can go to Amazon, shop, and select a nonprofit. And whenever you shop at Amazon, donation goes to that organization of choice. So within Bypass Lines, we partner with nonprofits and we give them a donation every time their constituents and supporters shop within the Bypass Line network. It's just that easy. They go to bypassline.com on checkout, they select their donor of choice, and we at Bypass Line donate a percentage of your transaction back to that organization.
That's incredible.
Should I tell them more?
Yes, we're going to talk a lot.
That's a snippet.
More. I know it's a snippet. It's an incredible concept. It sounds like it's a blue ocean concept, which is really exciting. And you and Spencer decided to start this venture because why? Spencer, can you talk about what brought you to Bypass Lines?
Uh-oh. He is either in deep thought or he's frozen.
He might be frozen. Sharon, would you like to share with us how Bypass Lines came to be?
Absolutely.
Showing a little delay, so I'm not sure.
Okay, there we go. He's back.
Go ahead, Spencer.
I'm sorry, you kind of paused a little bit. Can you repeat that for me?
Yeah, no problem. Just asking. Sharon just basically shared with everyone what Bypass Lines is about. How did you all come up with, how did you become entrepreneurs? Why did you decide to enter this ecosystem and space?
Well, what's interesting is when you think about when you ask the question of why entrepreneurship, I think it has a lot to do with independence and being able to express whatever that creative part that's inside of you that you want to get out to the world. And that may be through a passion that you have or a need that you see that's out there that you want to fulfill. My entrepreneurial journey started years ago, just seeing, my dad, who had an 8th grade education, had food trucks, food stands, snowball stands, sold clothes. He did just a number of things that showed his entrepreneurship and seeing him and his tenacity kept that fire in me that at some point there was something that I wanted to do and wanted to do big. And there was never a no that was inside of me. It was always you're just having challenges. And Sharon and I met through, at the time I was working as a consultant for a hospital, and Sharon was the of that, and we just connected. We had similar interests. We had amazing chemistry. We were talking about so many different things that you meet people and there was just a puzzle that actually fit, and we saw that we had to do something together in the sense of our interest in technology. And honestly, Sharon was more into technology than I was. So she introduced me to the whole technology world, and because I was in real estate doing other things, and she told me that there was a world of that was out there that we can be a part of. And we just explored and kept exploring. And we started off building apps. You're talking about two people that don't know anything about coding. We started building apps. And so, which was insane in our approach, but we didn't see any no's. We only saw challenges, and we overcame those challenges. We grew that actual business, and we used that as seed funding to start Bypass Lines. So it was that's exactly how that entrepreneurial journey kind of got started.
Spencer, what an incredible story. And Sharon, both of you, this is a good segue. You said that there have been challenges. And BIPOC entrepreneurs, Black, Latinx, the struggle is particularly hard for folks like us. Can you share, each of you, Sharon, I'll start with you, what has in your mind been one of the biggest challenges as an entrepreneur starting Bypass Lines, maybe even before Bypass Lines? What has been the biggest challenge, and how have you overcome that challenge? And Spencer, I'd love for you to also kind of weigh in for those who are in your shoes or starting out. It helps to see how people got to the other side.
Is Spencer starting, or am I starting?
Sharon, if you would like to start, that would be great, Sharon. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. I would say the most challenging part, and I don't think this is anything unique to us. I know it's not anything unique to us, but it's funding, right? Because that's the basis for building your product. And as Spencer mentioned, we started out with what we thought was the lowest hanging fruit, which was, you know what, we can build some apps. We have foresight, we're creative. I like to think I have the gift of like an artistic gift and an eye for things. So the apps that we created were for nonprofits, for schools, universities, and they liked it. So we're like, okay, I think we're onto something. So I guess the ingenuity of trying to find ways to fund your dream, right? Because the money isn't coming unless you have some sort of service or product. And once we were able to fund the dream, then like the real work begins, right? Because now we got this product that we've built, we've found the means of getting some funds, but like, how do we get the word out? So Spencer and I literally were passing out flyers. And I used to say, look at those people leaving flyers. Who left the flyer on my card this time, right? We were those people.
So how the tables are turned, right? Oh, as the
man, it certainly put a different perspective for me, because I'm like, man, I'm that person leaving flyers. And look, we got emails saying, why'd you touch my car? I don't like anything on my car. We got some crazy emails from that. So, you start to feel like, wow, we are really in the trenches. This is really some hard work. I mean, we've been in the heat, door knocking, going from restaurant to restaurant, refining the pitch on the spot as we go from the next door to the next door and hear no. And well, I like what you haven't, but I have DoorDash. And we're like, okay, we need to start differentiating ourselves. But it's those two challenges that, to me, you can't even tease them apart. As one, funding to get your thing built, and then two, Spencer used to say, just gaining trust. Like, nobody knows who we are, and the trust factor just sometimes forces people to put a wall up before you even begin to speak up, because they've never heard of you and you're new, and then you look like us, like you guys typically, are cooking. We believe you if you're trying to bake something and sell it to us, but tech, I don't know. I'll say this one thing and then I'll turn it over to Spencer. This is what kind of sealed the deal for us in terms of the way we look. And just the newness of breaking into technology. We had finally convinced a prospective merchant to get on board. And you could see he was just very hesitant, like, my business is slow. So, like, maybe I should go ahead and try this thing. And we were at the finish line. We're like, okay, all we need is your driver's license now. He's like, driver's license? Oh, I'm out. I'm done. First of all, you tell me that you're going to provide the service equivalent to DoorDash and Grubhub, and I've never heard of you. And then you just kind of walked in. I haven't seen these guys. I haven't seen you before. I haven't met you before. None of my restaurant friends know you. You look like you look, and now you want my driver's license? Oh no.
And that was to be able to like set them up as a vendor. You needed that information.
Yes.
It was
we even forwarded the information from the payment processor to show that this was a requirement, not of us, but a requirement of the payment processor. And it was a no-go. As if we stole something and he caught us red-handed. Yeah.
That is unfortunate, and comes with the territory. And yes. Sharon, thank you for sharing that story.
Yes. Yeah.
Spencer, Sharon shared all these challenges. How do you all think you've been able to overcome a lot of this? It sounds like perseverance, for one. You're still knocking, you're still making the calls, you're still trying to connect with vendors and organizations and all the folks that you need to make this platform effective. How have you all been able to pivot to counter some of these challenges?
Yeah, I think that there's some real nice words that I can use, but that's to make it politically correct. We just had to overcome the fear and having a I don't care what you believe or feel about what I'm doing attitude. Mm-hmm. Basically talking to everybody, exploring and showing up in parking lots when folks said no, and you're like, hey, I know you got to go to your car. I need to talk to you. So overcoming those challenges, really just not being afraid to explore something that you've never experienced ever. We always sit back when we're together and we are in awe of all of what we've accomplished as far as developing this platform that no one gave us a book for. There's no course that provided us with it. We actually walked in restaurants and went behind the veil, behind their counter to see how they were actually operating. And nobody told us what it was supposed to do. So we just kind of figured it out, finding the teams that, the development teams, and having conversations of technology that we didn't know what that language was, what it was supposed to do, and what our next steps were. So it's just more or less the fear that we overcame and the attitude of that, folks are not going to believe in us. Nobody will accept what we're doing. Nobody's going to care that you've been able to get one merchant or 1,000 merchants on. They don't really care about all of that. We have to care about our own product. And those are the challenges and the things that we would have been able to overcome. And we're still overcoming them, right? Mm-hmm. Because we're still experiencing those no's. We're still experiencing those. We're not going to let you in right now. But we've accomplished a tremendous, night and day from where we started to where we are now. Mm-hmm. It's completely night and day. And it's a beautiful experience when you think about the journey. But when you're in the middle of it, it doesn't feel good.
No.
It doesn't feel like you've accomplished a lot because you're still kind of working through those challenges. But the funding has always been a challenge, but we've overcome most of that as well. And not always bootstrapping. We've been in a place where there are times where our platform has actually sustained the entire company. So it's something to pat ourselves on the back for, but we still have goals and dreams of things that we want to do. So those are, we've been able to get past those types of challenges over the course of this journey.
Spencer, Sharon, I think if entrepreneurship was easy, everybody would do it. If founding a venture, everybody would do it. So kudos to both of you, because I know we've been here at Camelback along for the journey, and we've seen how you pivoted over the years. And we are very, very proud of you and what you all have been accomplishing.
Thank you.
Speaking of dreams, can we go way back to when you were younger? Was this your dream? Did you dream to be in this space and place? No, that's actually not the question. The question is, what advice would you share with your younger self about becoming a founder? So if you could like flash back to 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now, I know you said you all were working in different spaces and places in different industries. Now in this seat that you're in today, what would you tell your younger self about becoming a founder? Sharon, would you like to start? And then
Sure.
Spencer.
Sure. I would say, let's say early 20s. My sister has always been an entrepreneur. She has a gym and does personal training. And I would do all of her like banners, flyers, website, pictures. So I always had an interest in technology, but it was just kind of a side thing to help her, in my mind, to help her out. I would tell my younger self, focus on that. You enjoy it. There's a win-win relationship here. This could be your main gig. If I had thought it could be my main gig, I probably would have taken it a lot more seriously and, try to make a little business of it. But I didn't think about that being a viable business until later in life. But certainly had a stage to do it. So I would say you should have got started then.
Well, shoulda, coulda, woulda.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like when there's a time, there's a time. There's a time and a place when the stars align. Sharon, thank you. And it's incredible that both of you have, it sounds like entrepreneurship's in your blood. It's in the family.
Yes.
Spencer,
yeah.
you.
You know what's interesting about that question is when I'm gonna take it back, way back when my mom put me in this program. They had summer programs where the city of New Orleans partnered with different departments, and I was part of Parks and Parkways, where I was cutting grass throughout this time. And I remember just specifically, I was cutting the Nutri-Grounds, right? So the Nutri-Ground, super hot, got this lawnmower, I'm pushing it, and I'm the only one working. And I see the worker, the guy who was kind of the supervisor, he's in the shade drinking water. And he was like, I went over there, I said, look, man, can I have some water? He was like, look, it's until you finish this grass. Yeah, I'm gonna give you water at that point. So it was something inside of me at that point was like, listen, I'm never gonna do this again. Hey, I'm not saying anything about grass cutters, okay? But I will never be in this position where I'm at a deficit in this particular situation. And I will always have at least be the supervisor at this point, right? And so that was that was a combination of all the other components that brought me to where I am now. I was basically an open book. So I can't tell you that I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I was an open book because of my upbringing, my dad, my mom, where we lived in the 9th Ward. I wanted to be something great, but I didn't exactly know what that was. So, funny story, when I went to college, I just picked an actual course to go to. I mean, I asked the lady, which is the best course to go in? She's like, well, to get a good job, you can be an engineer. I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna be an engineer. So I went and I was working. There's a long story. I met Mr. Patrick Taylor. I used to work for his office. And Patrick Taylor is the guy who started the Taylor program in New Orleans, started in New Orleans. But I talked to one of his engineers and I said, look, I went into engineering. The lady told me something about engineering. I don't know what that is. And he said, well, just go into mechanical. That'll give you some options. And that's how my life had been at the time. Somebody telling me something to do, and I did it. So wasn't scared of it. I didn't know all the math and science about it. So that's how I've always approached everything that come across in my life. It's like when I asked Sharon, can we go in business together and work? I didn't know what her answer was going to be. She told me no initially. She was like,
He loves telling this story.
I don't,
Because I did.
I don't, I don't want to be in business. My sister's in business by herself. I don't want to be in business with anybody. I've always looked at me being an independent person. And I told her, I love what you're doing. I love technology. I tell you what I'll do. If you go in business, I will be your biggest supporter. And I will do all the other things to help you achieve your goal. I didn't have a goal at the time. I just was trying to figure it out. But I was willing to take a step back to help her achieve her goal, because in my mind, if I'm on her journey, I can see things that I probably wouldn't have been able to see. And that was.
Doesn't that sound like a great co-founder, right?
I think that's a phenomenal co-founder. And you know what? You both are embodying why we call this conversation Humble and Hungry.
Yeah.
Because I just want to, we need to go get coffee.
Yes. Yeah.
Hear your stories. We're gonna.
We love you, Tanya.
I know. Next time we're gonna get coffee. I'm gonna transition a little bit.
Okay.
As we, when I introduced y'all, I did mention that you all are 2020, Camelback Fellows. So that was like during the pandemic. You joined Camelback. I would love for you to share just a little bit. It doesn't have to be, a lot of words or thoughts here. But what was that experience like, and how has Camelback supported you both as founders and Bypass Lines?
Well, we love Camelback. As I mentioned as one of the challenges, finances is being one of our biggest challenges, and Camelback has actually given us the most money to date, and is in part why our doors are still open, because the money was quite timely every time we received something from Camelback. So we are forever indebted to Camelback for supporting us in that way. And I would also say, in addition to that, during the cohort, we had a phenomenal mentor, Scott Garrell, who just provided some real insight. And when you talk about, we like to say, starting in the dirt, starting from the grass, like we has somebody like Scott, who.
Sharon, I think we're losing you.
Am I frozen?
You were frozen, but you were talking about Scott. We were following along.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, Scott helped us tremendously because he had been in the tech world and had served in a executive position of a company, and just had a wealth of information for us. And as I was mentioning, this city, it's a hospitality city. So in terms of resources on how to cook or go into that industry, or hotel industry, anything, I guess transportation, we have some connects, but there was no one who could provide us with some technical background about starting a tech company and things that we should be considering as we plan to scale. And Scott stepped in that role for us and provided a lot of insight and challenging questions and strategies. I remember he gave us a book called Marketing 101, but just he met us where we were. But that, I think that was a foundation for us. And I would say as a whole, Camelback has been a foundation for us in terms of providing those financial resources and people resources.
Thank you, Sharon. Spencer?
Yes, Camelback can't do any wrong for us, man. I mean, they've been there providing us with just resources. Everyone is always available, just with either feedback or just with digging in on where we are, what we're doing, how we're making out. The funding has been tremendous because, again, you know, I always say God he's on his own timing. And I guess Camelbacks is on God's timing because they met us right when we needed it the most. And I mean, just with whatever that looked like, it was just always available. And I just applaud you guys. But Scott Garrow, can't say enough about him. He was amazing. He provided us with insight that folks would probably pay thousands of dollars for, because there were things that we had not considered. And we, you know, I know they say humble and hungry. We feel somewhat humble. I mean, I feel like we're very smart and intelligent people. But Scott opened our eyes to things that we just did not have in front of our heads, as intuitive as we thought we were. That's what Camelback did for us.
You just sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, but you just brought up something. I think when you're in it as a founder, as an entrepreneur, when you're trying to do it all, it is so hard. Sometimes it's just tunnel vision. So it's nice to have, be it a Camelback, be it a coach, be it a mentor, whomever, right? It's nice to have a third party, somebody that's not in it day in and day out, to help you step back onto that balcony view. You know, you're on the dance floor, you're just trying to do whatever, right?
The robot.
Robot, whatever. And you know, you need someone, something, whatever that is, to try to get you up on the balcony and really, and sometimes it's not, I don't think it's anyone's deficit. You all are juggling so much, and we see it with so many founders that are just like, I'm just trying to do it all. So it's helpful to have, again, these third parties. I want to talk about. And go ahead, Sharon.
I would add the expert bench, Camelback's expert bench. We've taken advantage of that, and that's been incredibly helpful.
Yeah, so for people listening, our expert bench is another resource that our fellows can tap into, where we connect them with different experts in different fields as additional supplemental supports. Wanting to talk about the future. We're almost wrapping up here, but I'd love to talk about legacy. I think legacy is so important. I think it's about building generational inheritance for future generations. I think, Spencer, you talked about it. You saw your dad being an entrepreneur in all these different ways. And in many ways, he sort of paved that legacy for you to step into the shoes and place that you are now. How do you each hope your venture changes the world for the better? How do you hope Bypass Lines indirectly, directly supports others? Because you do have a philanthropic component to Bypass Lines, as you mentioned, similar to Amazon Smiles. So yeah, what are you hoping your legacies will be?
We want to change the game as it relates to fundraising for nonprofits, creating a ecosystem, creating their own funding networks, that they have the power at that point with relationships, not always just having a one event or waiting for that one event, that once a year type of environment, that they can have these funding networks and relationships, and there's a two-way street, a win-win in that whole strategy and that whole plan of fundraising and connecting. So when I think about legacy, I think about the black and brown kids that look like me, that it doesn't matter where you come from, that you shouldn't be fearful of anything because you don't know it. Doesn't mean anything. You can find it out. We're in an age of technology and information. We are able to reach out and connect and have those conversations that we've never been able to have before. We're able to connect and engage like we've never been able to do before. So the legacy that I want to instill in the folks that I touch are creating an independence, but also creating a community, and eliminating the barriers of, because I don't know, I can't do, I don't know, but I can find out.
That's powerful. Wow. Thank you, Spencer.
Yes.
Sharon.
How could I follow that?
I know. I was like, uh-oh. I'm like, that was like a
I said, I hope she doesn't ask me.
moment. And I was going to be like, Sharon, this is when we end the conversation.
Right.
Those were great closing words. I mean, we need to just.
Yes, and I'm fine with that, because we both share that same vision of an ecosystem that is self-sustaining, where shoppers are shopping not just to buy an item, but it feeds back into their community and the businesses in their community. And, you know, once we remove ourselves from it, it's just we're helping to build and sustain local communities just throughout the country, and maybe even throughout the world if we expand globally.
Sharon, that was going to be my next question. So maybe you can share a little bit more about that. Bypass Lines, you are co-founders. It's being really piloted in New Orleans. But what's next for your venture in 2023 and beyond? And how can people support you on this journey?
Yes. Well, what we're looking to do is scale rapidly and throughout the U.S. So yes, right now we're in New Orleans, but we woke up one morning and someone registered out of Houston, Texas. We're like, wow, okay, it's starting, the marketing, it looked like it's working. So over the next year, what we would love to see is our marketing efforts allowing us to be visible and seen in other cities and states. And organizations are so moved that they are automatically signing up where they are and bringing on their local businesses and restaurants and retailers on. So yes, that's what we hope to see over the next year.
Spencer,
it'll be a household term.
I see that happening. I can't wait. Spencer, if people need to get connected with you all and learn more, how do they find you on the socials, online? Can you just drop some information so people can connect with you all to either sign up as vendors, to sign up as an organization looking for a free fundraising platform, or folks that are in New Orleans or Houston, right? Sharon, you said Houston? Yes, so maybe you want to order some food and you can log on to Bypass Lines and support these two. Spencer, can you share your information?
Yes, so you can, on Instagram, you can go to Bypass Lines app. So it's at Bypass Lines app. Facebook is Bypass Lines. Twitter is Bypass Lines, and you can go to Bypass Lines, and it's spelled exactly how it sounds, bypasslines.com. And on bypasslines.com, there's a sign up button for both merchants and also for nonprofits. And we're big on the nonprofit side because we're anxious about them building their own funding network, and we help them and assist them with connecting with those merchants that they can receive those that 50% of our profit back to them, and they reach their goals a lot faster. So bypasslines.com is the center of the universe right now. They can go there and they can find all the information that's required to get onboarded, to get connected with us, because we're it's two of us and we have a small team. So if you're reaching out, you're going to get one of us, either Sharon, myself, or our VA or whoever we have on board, but one of our team members. But we're available. We're always here.
Thank you, Sharon and Spencer. I know you all are so busy. Thank you for carving out time to connect with us, share your founder story, your entrepreneurial story. Again, to learn more about Bypass Lines, visit bypasslines.com. We just dropped that below, so it's there. You can see it, how it's spelled. please connect with Sharon and Spencer. There are a lot of great partnership opportunities. And again, thank you both. And we hope that other folks are going to join our next Humble and Hungry Conversations featuring all of our different Camelback Fellows. They drop a couple times a month. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks
Tanya.
for having us.